The Brandon Peters Show may contain explicit language and detailed plot points. For more information on the show, stay tuned to the end of the episode. And now, here's Brandon.
Welcome back to another fun-filled time of the Brandon Peters Show. And in typical bouncy fashion, we go from a Friday the 13th movie to a Disney one. And I love it. Wouldn't happen any other way. But joining me today for discussion on the 2007 film Meet the Robinsons, I have from the Halloween Never Dies podcast and theme park reviewer and writer and director, Sabina Graves.
Hey, everyone. Excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you back for your hat trick appearance. Number three. Pretty awesome.
Yeah,
definitely. And so now this time, I think it just started last time you were on. I want to dive in more to your podcast that you have, Halloween Never Dies, which is you and Pacing Pete, who's a fun chap. And you're going through the Halloween series film by film leading up to Halloween Kills, which is hopefully on pace to stay on its date this year.
Yes. I mean, hopefully he doesn't fall behind like the podcast has. That would be very ironic. We are, I think, a little behind. I think we might end up doing a double podcast on the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. I think we're on track to do that, to catch up to the Halloween Kills release. We're very excited. We've just gotten done with the Thorn trilogy, and our latest episode, Halloween H2O, is up right now with our awesome guest, Reina Cervantes, who you've had on the show before as well.
Yes, I have, yeah.
Talking about so we need to record Halloween Resurrection.
That's a tough one to get up for, I admit. Yeah. That's a tough one to get up for. So are you now you're going to Halloween Kills. What are you going to do between Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends? Is there going to be anything going on with the podcast between those, or?
That's a good question. I haven't really thought that far ahead.
I was just curious.
It was those pandemic podcasts that were like, we got to do something. And no, it's been a lot of fun though. And we've had such awesome guests that, it's been wanting to have more people on and discussing different things has been so awesome. But yeah, no, that's a good question. We will see what will happen.
I put the challenge forth. Okay. Yes. Okay. So how this one got how did I never knew of Mr. Pacing Pete before this podcast, but how did you guys come about? You know each other beforehand? Did somebody say you and you? Because there's podcasts where it's one person says you and you should do one, it'd be great, and they do it. And
that is literally what happened.
Okay.
We have a mutual friend named Lauren who is a writer. She was my editor at Fandom, and she's currently a social media person over at IGN. And it was one of those things on Twitter where she DM'd me and was like, my friend Pete is wanting to do a Halloween podcast just on the franchise. Are you interested? And I was like, yeah, I'm totally game. So that's how we were connected.
Gotcha. And you guys have good chemistry, right? Going right there. I like hearing you guys usually open one up with you have a banter before and a banter after the event. So that's pretty, I definitely enjoy that going in. You have a theme song. Is that something you plucked from somewhere? Was it written for you? It
was definitely plucked by our amazing editor and producer Casey. So he found that and we were like, yeah, he gave us a selection, and then Pete and I landed on that one.
Gotcha. And yeah. Every episode has, and both of you aren't you're not you haven't watched these a billion times. So there's some sort of foggy memory and some sort of freshness to it, which is kind of interesting that I like. Cause I think you've said you've watched a lot of yours on Telemundo before, the earlier ones. So they're kind of different coming to you now. Am I correct in that? Or
Yes, no, totally. I mean, like I'd seen annually, I watch, the Carpenter films, and then some of the other ones I like watch just, on like television. I'd love to research just like how that comes about, like, when they license like sequels and stuff, and because it's such a weird journey to like be on and be like, oh wow, I remember this, but in a completely different language, so that's been a lot of fun to discuss. But yeah, with like the Rob Zombie Halloween films, I was like one of those just like hesitant, and I didn't want to ruin my Rob Zombie fanness, and I was like, I don't know if I want these two things together. So but I am excited to dig into them and like actually like dive in, because they're a very interesting creative person. So yeah, I know there's a lot of divisive opinions right now about his taking over the Munsters, and kind of being like, he's gonna rob a zombie the Munsters, this assumption that I think I think it doesn't make sense. I think he is really great at paying homage to things that have inspired him and bringing his own voice to it in a unique way. And I don't know. Like, I feel like he's not gonna make the Munsters insincere. Like, does not make sense to me.
If anybody's scared about him and the Munsters, like this is a perfect, because I highly recommend. There's a Blu-ray from Shout Factory out there for, I think is it Munster Go Home or Munster Come Home, the film version they did of the Munsters back in the day, and guest of the show. From here, Justin Beam, who produces bonus content, did a commentary. He moderated a commentary for that movie with Butch Patrick, who played Little Munster, little Eddie Munster, and Rob Zombie. And you can go back to the episode if you want, because I thought the commentary, like I put it on for background, like because I was writing my review, and I swapped to the commentary just to have in the background while I was writing, and I had to like put the keyboard away, and I just couldn't stop focusing on them because they were a great group. And Justin told me he texted Rob like before that, or like he's like, hey, Butch Patrick, Munsters commentary, you want in? And he texted back, fuck yes, when? And so Rob Zombie showed up, and Rob Zombie was like, just, you listen to the commentary, he is geeking out over, like, he like went in the 90s, he went off trail on his tour with White Zombie to hit a convention to meet Butch Patrick back then. So, and he knows his Munster stuff. I think this is like,
yeah,
I think it's going to be like Halloween. He wasn't like, I mean, he liked Halloween, but he wasn't like the biggest. He's more of a I can tell he's more of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre person because he's knocked that movie off a couple times, but he does have great style. And that's kind of the thing. You have to, when he touches something that says something else on it, you got to realize it has his name above it. It's hard to realize that. And when I left the Mann's Chinese Theater opening weekend of Halloween, pissed after I saw his original Halloween movie, but then I've grown to appreciate what it is and that it didn't destroy the John Carpenter one. It didn't do all that. So I don't know. I think zombie.
Yeah. I mean, I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And so back to Halloween Never Dies, like guests for the show. I've been a guest on there, but like reaching around, you've got a really eclectic group of people. Like the Halloween 5 episode was, didn't expect that one when I hit play. And then I had to be like, I have to follow that. Like, what am I to do here? But I mean, you got a really great group of people. Where are they coming from? They're reaching out, offering up, like.
Yeah, no, we've met them through different sort of places. I believe you're referencing the one with Isabella as the guest. Yes, Isabella is incredible. If I was like a really like successful producer, I would give her like 5 shows because I just love listening to her talk. And I'm just like, I wish I had money to just give you, because she is like, I think the sort of host I wish I could be, like she's so good and can speak on a variety of topics and sort of how they, kind of connect to the world we live in ways that I didn't even think about. So it's so cool. She and I met, I think, through our friend Vanessa, who was also, I think, our second guest. She was a host and producer for the El Rey Network, and
Oh, okay.
she actually did an episode with me and Isabella for her show called Top 5 on the LA Network, which is now like on one of the streaming like channels.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
think it might be like Tubi or something, that like they're all the El Rey content's being put over there.
Oh, okay.
But we did a Halloween special, just like various Halloween specials, not the movies, but the holiday. So we did like an episode on costumes, and an episode on favorite movies. My quarantine brain is like kind of making me not remember what the theme for the other episode was. But basically, I spent the whole day with Isabella on that shoot, and I was like, I can't wait to like talk to her about more things. So it's just been like this Twitter friends like networking fun sort of situation where, you know, like when this podcast came along, I was like, I know who I want to hang out with to talk about these movies. So, you know, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, you picked a good one to have her on there too, because it was like this is the best thing associated with Halloween 5 I've heard in a long time. Not a lot good associated with it, despite my picture back there. But it's a cool poster. It had a cool poster.
It is.
So, oh, that's great. So yeah, you're on pace to hit there. So you have what, the Rob Zombie? Well, you have Resurrection, which Trick or Treat Motherfucker, and you got let's see, what, the Rob Zombies, and then the 2018 Halloween, that one. So that's pretty exciting, and people should keep up with it because it's a really fun. It's only one. I only asked of you once a month, which is probably going to boost that up here soon to catch up. But yeah.
Yes. Sorry,
Airplane. All good. They happen. So cool. And that's anywhere podcasts are found.
Yes, totally. Everywhere.
Follow it on
podcasts are
Twitter,
found.
Instagram. Good stuff.
Yes.
The Halloween
And,
6 episode I recommend. There's this glasses pushing dork that says a lot of stuff about it. So.
And I also love learning. Like we also bring in, like, you know, you've been on, and our friend James, and people who know maybe more than we do about the movies to kind of like help fill us in and kind of just bring together like a huge picture of what this franchise has meant throughout the years. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's funny when you said that. I was like, I want like 6, because that is just, that's going to have a lot of stuff to chew on. Like, why would you pick 6? Like, because you pick the ones that are great discussions, not just like, I liked it and I like this and this was cool. And remember that? Yeah, no, I like the meaty discussion one. Those are ones I return to just to watch with fascination of just like, what happened? What could, you know, that's my brain. That's, except Resurrection. I don't.
I'm so excited.
I went to Resurrection with a girl, opening show like 1 PM, and we left, and she turned to me and she said, well, that was better than the last one. And I'm like, you're going home after this. So yeah, but yeah, that was got so much Halloween on my brain. And anytime there's a trailer that drops, I have to hurry and fucking, at least on the Facebook end of things, not like the Twitter stuff, but like on the Facebook end of things, if I don't share it or post it, I'm going to get tagged like 8 times. Like, you see this yet, Brandon?
Did you see it?
I know you love this to death, but maybe you don't keep up. Like, yeah.
Did you see the news about the Halloween Horror Nights maze?
Don't, because the Halloween 4 one, or
yes.
Yeah, I can't.
It's Halloween 4.
It's sad. I will be by Universal Studios when that's going on, but because I have small children who have no interest in that, yeah, sad.
No.
Sad. I believe they had Halloween 4 one the last time I was there too, so it's haunting me because I love Halloween.
Oh 4. No! Yeah,
Haunting
no.
me.
So there's a weird thing that's happening because there was originally a silver shamrock facade that was being built behind Waterworld.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that on your social media.
Yeah, but it was removed. So like we all thought it was going to be a Season of the Witch maze. And we were all like, oh man, how is this going to work with people being like, you know, where's Michael Myers? The whole maze. But yeah, no, in true fashion, they decided to bring back a Michael Myers maze because they were like, brand recognition needs to happen.
gosh. Which you had a good theory on the whole that you would like to happen of the Shamrock masks and Michael and all that I enjoyed on your show.
Thank you.
Which I actually back in the 90s before Halloween H2O happened, I was writing a script. I wrote a script to tie in that with the other stuff following Halloween 6. Brought Lori back. And it's probably it's on a computer that died long ago, and
No,
it's probably best for everyone that no one ever see that script. But it's probably bad.
It's wild because in that last trailer for Halloween Kills, we saw the masks kind of make a return, and there've been discussions of like, why just put them in there if they're just going to be an Easter egg? Maybe they're connected. We will see.
I would probably just an Easter egg. That'd be my guess. They're like, remember the last time? Now we killed him. Remember that? We showed him on the street. No, it's a recognizable. He's killing people. I don't know. We'll see. I love them to recognize, like, give Tom Atkins a little role. Like he was supposed to be before that one. There was Todd Farmer, Patrick Lussier they had two different pitches, but one of them was a follow-up to Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, and Tom Atkins was like specifically scripted as a role. Like they were gonna have him in it, not the same character, but they were gonna have him in because they're like, it's the Halloween 3, so he's got to be there. So, but it never happened. Which
No.
I had Todd on my old show, and he would not. I like off air. I was like, tell me what the fuck's up with you? What happened? I don't remember. It was like this, and I'm like, shut up, Todd. And then there's a whole book on it now. All right, but you ready to meet the Robinsons?
Yes.
All right.
It's spooky time, but we'll also talk about sci-fi and time travel.
Time travel. Yes. It's spooky season, and hey, the bowler hat dude, he's spooky. So Meet the Robinsons is directed by Stephen J. Anderson, written by Anderson and John Bernstein, Michelle Bachner-Spitz, Don Hall, Nathan Greeno, Arian Redson, Joe Mateo. It's based on the book A Day with Wilbur Robinson by William Joyce, and it stars Daniel Hansen, Jordan Fry, Wesley Singerman, Angela Bassett, Tom Kenny, Harlan Williams, Laurie Metcalf, Adam West, and Tom Selleck. It's about Lewis, who is a brilliant inventor who meets this mysterious stranger named Wilbur Robinson, whisking Lewis away in a time machine, and together they team up to track down Bowler Hat Guy in a showdown that ends with an unexpected twist of fate. So my first Disney cartoon I'm doing on here. Just realized that. Pretty awesome. Sabina, did you see this in the theater when it came out?
I did not. I watched this when I was babysitting.
Oh, a baby? Was it like, oh, fine, I'll watch it. Oh, I love this? Or like, how did...
It's weird because I grew up definitely a Disney kid, although I came out in the time where I was kind of like, I don't want to watch little. I don't want to watch these like strange, Disney animation CG movies. I was very upset at the switch from 2D over to CG.
Really?
And, I think, I love the Disney princesses. I was very much on the fence about Tangled. I love Princess and the Frog. And I was just very upset that they were, moving away from hand-drawn animation.
So you weren't mad about Pixar. You weren't mad about CG in general. Just like Disney, you do a thing, you stay doing a thing. Or
I guess
okay.
I was just, afraid of I loved the storybook aesthetic and just 2D.
Mm-hmm.
But and I was like, well, Pixar's there. Like, what's going on? I know this was like one of those weird in between like things were happening movies that kind of got lost in the shuffle. So I actually didn't see this movie until I would say I was in like my late teens, early 20s while I was babysitting.
Okay.
And I wasn't like any sort of like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I'd rather watch this than Chicken Little. Like,
oh, well, certainly.
And I'm a huge Back to the Future time travel like fan, and it just for whatever reason I didn't know this was about time travel. So I literally was like watching the kid making chicken nuggets probably, and then like, wait, there's a time machine. What's going on? Oh, oh, I'm into this. Like, there's a found family. This is really cute. And then it got me with the main quote that it centers around, because I am a huge Walt Disney quotes person, and my favorite quote is "keep moving forward." So as soon as that popped on the screen, I was like, tell me more. Yes. I mean, I was in. So I watched the movie with a kid who it was one of their favorite movies. So I fell in love with it. And it is actually legitimately one of my favorite Disney movies, and probably my favorite, I would say, in a weird, surprising way.
Well, I'd say it's hard to come by cult classics anymore, but I would say this one, because it didn't do as well as they'd like at the box office and stuff, but I would consider this a cult classic, because there is an underground, there's a reappraisal that's gone from it. I didn't see it in the theater at the time. So my friend Scott Mendelson, writer for Forbes or whatever, he would tell me, we're met up for whatever. This is why I live in Los Angeles. He was like, "Oh my gosh, Meet the Robinsons was awesome. You guys see Meet the Robinsons." I'm like, Meet the Robinsons. It's it was great. And sometimes we have a thing, Scott and I are both idea people. We will forgive some lesser movies because they had a good idea behind all of it, which I think is great. And even if they don't execute it well. And I was like, sometimes his idea and my ideas don't go. I was like, but I worked in QC for Blu-ray and DVD, and Disney was one of my clients. So I was like, well, I'll wait for this one to come around. And when it came, I grabbed it and I was like, okay, that was pretty awesome. He was not lying. It was pretty awesome. I was just surprised, got the most, I just went into the suite in the office that had the best surround and everything, just had my own little private showing. And it was a cool movie. And I've returned to it a lot over the years. I make sure my kids watch it. I just, it pretty interesting. And it's something that just kind of went by and forgotten. But Scott writes about it plenty. So it's always, and you'll see people like, oh, I like that one. I like that one. I like that one. It was supposed to have a sequel as well. And that got John Lasseter took over Disney Animation during the production on this. And then shit canned all the sequels they had planned for everything. So I don't know that this needs a sequel, but kind of has a complete story. But
I think it needs to be turned into a Disney live action adaptation.
Wait, it was supposed to be that it was conceived.
Yeah, it was originally as a live action. Now we should go back and make sure that happens.
Right. Well, they could milk it as a Disney Plus sitcom, like the Disney
Sitcom
Channel
series.
would have.
Yeah.
You just have the kid go to the future, and he's stuck there with his family and his older self, who has to act like a dad all the time to him, and it's kind of weird. And you could just do that. That'd be old school multicam sitcom style. Meet the Robinsons. I'd tune in for that to get the humor right.
No, it definitely would. And then you get different episodes with each different family member.
Right? Yeah, it's bonkers. Yeah, they could do that. Speaking of family members, so as I mentioned up top, this has 7 writers, including the director who wrote. And they're also, I'm going to read you, and this is lengthy, but bear with me. This is kind of I think there's a through line here with all these people that they're kind of this wacky family themselves. So we have Anderson, the director, who also does the voice of Bowler Hat Guy. Jim Carrey turned it down, so he just took it. And he's also been the story artist on Bolt, Tangled, Wreck-It Ralph, Frozen, Zootopia, Moana, Frozen 2. He wrote Tarzan, Emperor's New Groove, and Brother Bear. All right. We have this Bernstein. Well, only other credit is the Ringmaster Jerry Springer movie. So this is going to be the exception to this. But Spitz, she currently writes on Monsters at Work, but she's going to be an exception too. Hold on. But she was a script coordinator for Will and Grace, writing assistant Dharma and Greg, wrote Dream On. She was a production assistant on Stephen King's Sleepwalkers. But now we get to Don Hall, who is the writer and director of Raya and the Last Dragon and Moana and Big Hero 6. He's the writer of Home on the Range, Brother Bear, Emperor's New Groove, Tarzan, story artist, supervisor, character designer, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Princess and the Frog, Chicken Little, Spirit. Greeno, who's the director of Tangled, worked on Frozen, Brother Bear, Mulan, Chicken Little, Bolt. Redson worked in the art department for The Croods, Tangled. Bolt also did 8 Crazy Nights. And Mateo, head of story for Big Hero 6, animation department. Bolt, Wreck-It Ralph. See, these names keep coming up. These people, I feel, are like this crazy. They probably got inspired by this crazy family by working together in their crazy relationships with each other. So I thought that was kind of neat. I'm making shit up. I don't know if these people are like that, but I just noticed they work together constantly.
They work together consistently. You know?
All the
And
way
Don
up
Hall, I think, produced. I think he produced Raya, because I think that was
Right.
that was directed by Carlos Lopez Estrada, and then he also produced Beauty and the Beast.
Oh yeah. So like they all are sitting around Disney throwing weird animation ideas and stuff at each other. I mean, so still to this day, which is pretty cool. And there's a couple other randos that were in there as well, but who knows, they might have done a lot of uncredited stuff we don't know about around the Disney lot too. So, but yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting there. We have my first, like, returning to it this time, and I've never thought this about this movie, but I don't know why this time it hit me, but I'm like, animation's come a long way since this was made. Like, it felt slightly primitive to me watching it, and I don't know it was mainly the animation of Lewis, and then like some of the settings, and I was like, I never felt like this with this movie before, but maybe it's because I'm watching it like super high def on Disney Plus instead of my DVD, or well, should have at least Blu-ray quality on Disney Plus. But it just it was interesting. And some of the
they did come out with the Blu-ray of it, right? Because I had the DVD, and I still have the DVD, because that was part of my like favorite, like what I was able to salvage. But that's what it was. I didn't buy the DVD or the Blu-ray because I thought and hoped that they would come out with something for the 10-year anniversary, and they did not.
It's still not on 4K yet, but it does have a Blu-ray and a Blu-ray 3D, which I did not work on those. I only worked on the I did work on the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray 3D came out 4 years later. So, but I have the DVD of it, not the Blu-ray still, but I need to upgrade, but I'll wait on a 4K now because might as well. But yeah, I was just like, it was really interesting. Just a lot of the textures were just static, and so just interesting look at anime. It still works well. It's not like, oh my gosh, this is hard to watch or anything. But I mean, you go back to the original Toy Story and you have those kind of things. But I mean, like, I feel like we've gone whoosh, like even teeth look crazy different now to go with these people. But the still works quite well with the goofiness and this kind of the crazy ass family and antics of just this. It's almost like Addams Family-ish. I know we've talked Addams Family before, but it's always like all the cousins and stuff now, they all live in the same house or something with things. But yeah, this is the first one from Walt Disney Studios. It's got the Steamboat Willie logo. It's the first time they've ever done that. This one. So, pretty interesting. Yeah.
Oh no, my connection's being weird. Okay. Am I back? You were frozen for a second. Okay, cool.
Was I frozen? Okay. You were frozen on my end. I was just going with it. So all good.
Yeah, no, I agree with there are certain things of it that look very, unfinished. I know that this movie definitely had a journey in actually getting made. The plot was rewritten, or the script was rewritten, it was redone at a certain point. There are various things about it that are like, the idea is there, and I totally agree. And I love the ideas that are presented in the movie. So it felt also very reminiscent of, I think, what I would imagine to be the Tomorrowland movie I wanted to see.
Yeah.
And with the aesthetic and like the location and the style of the characters, as like a Disney theme parks person, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like they're in Tomorrowland. And I really loved that for sure.
And when you got Tomorrowland, it was Hugh Laurie looking down and depressed, but
yeah, I was like, what is this? Although I have friends, and honestly, I need to revisit Tomorrowland, the movie, but I have friends who are really big defenders of Tomorrowland.
I didn't think it was bad. It was just kind of like, well, the average movie I saw that year. Like that's, I mean, and it sounds negative, but I mean it in a average way, not a put down. But yeah, like I would watch this one too. I got a vibe that
Gus, I did not know he was in here. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
This is a pet friendly podcast. Don't worry.
Gus, you want to come sit over here? Gus, come here. My dog named after the mouse. From Cinderella.
Nice. Very good.
There he is. Take him. There he goes. That's Gus. He sounds like a bigger dog than he actually is.
Oh, scares the people at the door away. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
They mustn't know he is also very adorable.
Shh, don't. It'll kill the mystique. I also with this one, I noticed there's a similar. It reminded me about kind of one of the main crux of Pixar's Onward that came out last year, where this one he's bound and determined to get FaceTime with his mother and do all this stuff, but when the time comes, he feels like there's a bigger purpose or something more important than that. And that's kind of like Onward, where the whole movie's about seeing his dad. And I was like, wow, that's a kind of a connected little thing I realized, which Meet the Robinsons did it first.
Yes.
But
I'm in that camp.
Kind of similar space there. Easily. I also noticed like the time jump here. We're like currently when you and I are talking about this, we're like smack dab in the middle of the time jump he makes, because he goes 30 years from 2007 to 2037, which we're in the middle of it right now. So we're getting close to the time travel and flying. It's 2 years away, but 2 years away from Blade Runner 2039 happening. And the same year that Guy Pearce traveled to in 2002's Time Machine. And apparently this is like you said, Tomorrowland. It's a reference that Tomorrowland was Walt Disney's idea of what 1985 would look like from 1955. So it was like a nod to that 30-year reference. So I don't know.
30 years.
30 years. I was a different person 2007. Just 14 years ago. Who knows what I'll be in 23? If I'm around in 20 years, who knows?
If we are around.
Yeah, if all of us are around, we laugh, and then it's like some alien's gonna find a recording of this, like, oh, they had no idea 2023 was gonna end at all, did they? No. Joking about it.
No, don't joke about it.
They had no idea. None.
No idea that those Tesla robots would turn on us in the same way that Doris.
Not to be confused with Doris from the Brandon Peters show.
Yeah.
This is Doris, DOR 15. Just because people like Doris.
Yes.
But yeah, is Wilbur Robinson a nod to Will Robinson? I was Lost in Space, Danger Will Robinson. Didn't know. I couldn't find anything. Probably
that might be more of like a book thing, so maybe the author was inspired by that.
Yeah. I also heard there was like the reference to the Walt Disney point, the two fingers.
Yes.
Which isn't that like bullshit? Like they just removed cigarettes from his hand, but he was always smoking, so they always just say he was pointing, like, and that's how the Disney point. Because like all his pictures, he has cigarettes, and they started a narrative on park tours that it was the Disney point because they didn't want kids to see, or they just removed the cigarettes from his fingers, because they did do that on some Star Wars videos that led up to Rise of Skywalker, because the one with Harrison and Carrie walking off the set from the first one, and Harrison has a cigarette in his hand and it's gone. In the Disney promo footage. Yeah, if you look on documentaries that Disney has produced since Star Wars has come out, cigarettes are removed. Like that's what they're spending money on. is digitally removing cigarettes. But
Oh my gosh. I go around Disney parks all the time doing the Disney point when I point at things. I even get mad at my husband for using a 1-finger point. Like, it's 2 fingers.
I have
Now,
heard it's
people are gonna
because he smoked all the time, and that's
people
why
are gonna think I smoke all the time. If like they look back on videos of me doing the Disney point in these videos, they're gonna be like, she removed the cigarette.
She taking that cigarette. Remember that we got that filter that removed cigarettes on our phones? That was great. That was great. But yeah, I've heard that's because it's like some bogus narrative because he like always had a cigarette in his hand. And so all his pictures, it's like, oh, it's the Disney point. But I don't know. Maybe I'm full of shit. Maybe I'm full of shit.
I don't know. You might be calling upon the Disney fandom in your comments to like come get
angry at me.
I'm a huge Disney person, but there are a lot of things I don't know. And but there's definitely a section of fans who would be very upset. You're not a real Disney fan if you don't know the real reason why the Disney point exists. So
true. I don't know. I just that was something I had dug up, not for this, but for like long ago I had heard or read or something happened where I was like, oh, that's interesting. Makes sense. So I could totally see that. So like, yeah, I'm not adopted at all, but I did find some sort of like relevancy and touchiness with this movie that I related to with it. It reminded me, because this is about an adopted family per se. It's not like, well, I mean, there's traditional adopting. You have your parents or whatever, but this is adopting through like your like. I'm gonna make sense here in a sec. I promise. But like it reminded me a lot of and clicked with me because when I moved to Los Angeles years ago, I had like nobody. And a lot of Los Angeles out there is transplants. A lot of people go out there, especially if you're in the entertainment world, nobody's from there a lot of times that you meet. And then you don't go home for like you can't go home for every single holiday, every single event, things like that. And so you start to take these events and you find these groups of people that always you get together and you make up this brand new family. And it kind of reflected to me like that because you're not coming from similar backgrounds. You're not coming from like a tradition of like, your parents, your cousins, like where you're all coming from a similar place. You're all coming from here and it's all wacky and crazy, but it's kind of beautiful in a way. And it's really fun and a nifty thing. And it also like remind me of like when he first gets there. When I moved to Los Angeles, I moved with my backpack and a couple of suitcases, and somebody put me up in this house on Van Ness that used to be owned by Western star Tom Mix. And because they had like a garden room, and it was like, I was one of like 8 people in this house, and they were all, and I was coming from like the Midwest. This was a big crazy thing in my life. I lived with this guy named Vlade. He was the guy who was the main lease person for the house. And there's a guy who was there. He was like a second AD on Scorsese's The Aviator, and just all sorts of different walks. I think one roommate, she lived on the first floor with me. I saw her like panhandling out one day and told me not to act like I knew her. Strange. I found one person I thought I was outside on my deck that I had off this garden room, and someone yelled at me from upstairs. I was like, whoa, what? There's a person there? And what I thought was a linen closet was actually a door that went to a hallway back to this other roommate I didn't know exists room. And they had a cookout, and it was like this crazy thing, like of people, and somebody I knew showed up at the cookout. It was really weird. But yeah, so this kind of reminded me of that feeling, especially when I got there. So you can connect even if you're not traditionally adopted like that, because people always adopt to, you have work families, you have different kinds of things. And I think that's a really kind of a cool message they throw off, just not with, it's really good for like traditional adopting and stuff like that, a nice positive image. But for like anybody else, like there is that strong value there.
Definitely. I think not only, in that way when you find your community, when you move out to a different place, but also I think the movie, no, I'm sure we'll touch upon like the various things that really make it sort of ahead of its time, I would say, because I know that part of the reason it didn't do so well is because people were having trouble grasping some of the concepts that, that it was presenting and like how it could be like relevant. I know Doris wasn't like a huge, like, oh, just a bunch of hats that are robots or whatever. Trying to control what you do or whatever. But I mean, like now in the age of being on your phone like this most of the time, like scenes like that like really, really hit really well now. But in the same respect, in the whole idea of found family, I think I'm speaking from just like our experiences in lockdown, or even just when Twitter kind of happened and blew up, or Tumblr too, you kind of started to connect with people on the internet who had, similar tastes as you in film and in books and literature that you maybe couldn't find like in your hometown. And so you started creating your found family online. And I think that, this movie really speaks to that too. And kind of like finding people who embrace your weirdness, who, are like supportive no matter what you do and want to like do with your life and stuff.
Yeah, like I mean, through like certainly for myself through like podcasting, I've been able to like find people, have these conversations like I want to have with people of like-minded ways and stuff. And I don't now like necessarily need that when I'm in person or out, because if I'm not, I'm just like, well, not that I suck at like normal life conversations of, oh yeah, that roof, cool, work stuff. I'm not good at those. I try. Like I went to a thing recently that was like a friend's kid's birthday party, and my wife's like, how'd it go? I'm like, well, I asked him like, how did the pandemic affect your work? Like, because everybody's like, oh, what have you been up to? Same fucking thing as you in my house. Not cool, man. So, but yeah, so no,
I think I've actually found the opposite from you. Like I feel like now I have more to talk to about with normal people, because it's like, you've been in your house all day, you've been watching stuff, I can ask you about what you've been watching.
hopefully they watch cool stuff, because then sometimes they list off, I'm like, nope,
no.
not into that. Oh geez, oh, you should watch. I'm like, no I shouldn't. Or I tried it.
When people mention Love Island or like The Circle, I'm like, I'm gonna go get a drink. Bye.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I get. That's why I live in Indiana. That's what people will watch that stuff or something. But yeah. So no, it definitely ahead of its. That's perfect. Yeah. Wait, that's why ahead of its time. Kids now, they'll check it out. They'll know. But yeah, the controlling the Doris, the hat, the creepy, the hat that does the post-apocalyptic thing.
Doris was like the blueprint for Alexa, essentially. That like if Alexa had basically turned against you and wanted to control you through your like,
hey, she hasn't done it yet. It doesn't mean she's not capable.
Devices and stuff. True.
I mean, yeah.
Also, iRobot might also be happening. So
it could. Oh God, yeah. Well, don't you see what happens? They start to think. They start to think. Like,
it's because I think someone said that Elon had mentioned that the robot is really lightweight and we could just like take it on and stuff. And I'm like, but like, you're not talking about like it could plot, like it can be 20 feet away from you and some mysterious glass slides on you and chops you in half. And it could have been its doing.
I had an idea for a book one time that I'm probably never ever gonna write, so I'll spoil it here. But we're on the subject of technology during Meet the Robinsons. It was a book about a kid or a young person that winds up getting like his father tells him he's got to go to this motel room or something like weirdly, and like it turns out like his father was like some deep government secret blah blah blah, and he goes in this room and there's this guy there and he looks like him, but he's got like a different, really like exotically tinted skin. And he's like, well, it turns out this guy is the original, like one of the previous inhabitants of Earth, what we would call an extraterrestrial or whatever, but he's not. He's one of the original. What happened was they built machines, which were us. Us took over, sending their people the fuck out, and like, yeah. So basically, that had already happened, but us living, breathing today are the machine crap. That was their tech. These organs, all that stuff was their kind of tech. And like, it's like, oh shit. And I was gonna do that, like all the like biblical shit was like real, but not for us because we're machines. It was for them who created us or something. That was sort of my weird book that never kind of fully fleshed out. But yeah, tech, man, building humans,
Technology.
not good. Technology,
No.
yeah, building humans, robot humans, not good.
Nope.
Not good.
Robot items, not good.
Yeah. Oh man, let the like apes evolve and take us over. Don't let us have our own hand in doing that. No way. Oh gosh.
Bring back the dinosaurs, like they brought them back in this movie, which honestly, I think before watching Meet the Robinsons, the only thing I'd really ever seen about Meet the Robinsons was just the gifs of the T-Rex being like, I have small arms. I don't think this is a good idea. Yeah. Which honestly, because like, yeah, no, in the early days of GIFs, I think I remember that specifically. People were just resharing it. And so when I saw the movie, I was like, it didn't ruin it at all. It actually made it funnier to kind of get the context.
I got the GIF.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's great. There's like that. Yeah, there's that tentacle. There's Adam West. Dear Adam West is in this.
Yes.
This pizza delivery spaceship superhero guy that I forgot about it until I watched it this night, or till when I was watching. I was like, oh yeah, Adam West. It's there for a couple lines. Tom Kenny's there as the the judge at the science, which nice guy. My old roommate of mine used to work on his computer all the time, him and his wife Joe. So always fun when he pops up. And score by Danny Elfman, doing Disney for the first time since Nightmare Before Christmas, I believe. I should have checked that, but
yeah, no, it makes sense for it to have been Danny Elfman too, because it has that sort of like kooky family vibe.
It's like perfect. Yeah. Definitely. The French, like, so I guess too, the kids in this started recording their voices and then got replaced because one hit puberty or something, and they used both. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Poor kid. But some interesting behind the scenes things. Of course, good joking on Tom Selleck. Do the kids know who Tom Selleck is nowadays?
I don't think so. But that was a really good joke moment where it's like, oh, he looks like Tom Selleck, and he's actually voiced by
Tom. Yeah, it's like if you get it, you're like, it like warms the heart when it's like when you hear him, you're like, oh, that's really cool. It's Tom Selleck. But kids might go, well, is that the guy from the show my grandma watches, Blue Bloods? Is that who he is? Is that still on? Those are the type of shows that we were talking about.
It's still on? Oh my gosh.
I don't know if it's still on, but it's like, that's the type of show we're talking about. We're like, oh, I watch Blue Bloods. I'm like, yeah, well, CBS, no. Crimes being solved.
For me, it was like, is that the show like my grandma watches, Magnum PI? So
Magnum, yeah. He was Magnum. He's on Friends during that time. For a while, but yeah, he's got one of the best mustaches of all time. Like
definitely.
I think he was probably unmatched until Henry Cavill did his for Mission Impossible.
Yeah, and I'm like very shocked it has not made a comeback.
Yeah, gotta have that stash.
That stash was great.
Should have kept it in the Snyder Cut.
Should have kept it. It was worth sabotaging that movie for. Oh my god!
I want a mustache Superman. Come on, why
not?
Have the cojones to fucking just do it. Just go. Oh, but there's a lot of inventions in this movie. There are. I will say that the peanut butter gun incident at the beginning, the peanut butter and jelly one. I know the guy's allergic, Okay, I know he's allergic, but they're kind of assholes about it, right? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
if you can't handle that, like as a person who's a parent, you can't handle that. You probably or understand that it was an accident.
Mm-hmm.
Probably might want to hold off on the children because you might have one named Noli and she might be a pain in the butt. Just saying, might happen. But yeah, there's that. There's the brain, the one, the crux of it's like the brain reader that's supposed to get memories or control people. I'm not too.
So the brain reader, the one that he invents when he's at the science fair, is so he could try to remember what his mother looks like,
Right.
to maybe try to find her in some way. Which obviously, like, building on that, different inventions come later on. But I thought it was like really interesting because I hadn't thought about that onward connection until you brought it up.
Right.
And it being like, ultimately, do you want to try to keep searching for that bit of like or like, do you want to still have that nostalgia for trying to find or get that moment that you missed, or do you want to be present and find fulfillment in the relationships that are around you? So I really liked that from the movie.
Mm-hmm. It's really weird because there's always, no matter what, it might not be a parent or something, there are like holes in your life that you like wonder and you grow a nostalgia for, and your nostalgia might be more powerful than that meeting or that that thing that you have. Like, so I just don't know. I don't know that the whole never meeting a parent thing. I'm sure that's got to be, no matter who you are, a desire of majority of children or who are adopted or something like that, like who just want to know who that person was, and but to be able to go to the future and see how things are all right, that's nice too, to be like, okay, well,
yeah,
I'll be okay.
No, for sure. And I think it kind of like has the sort of inversion of that in a weird way, not necessarily about adoption, but like just how does holding on to something like transform you, with like Goob, with the villain, which is that they have that big reveal where he had missed that like catch during the baseball game, and like he just held on to that with so much spite for the rest of his life that it made him this like scary bowler hat guy that sounds like Jim Carrey but is not Jim Carrey.
It's not Jim Carrey. It's the director of the film. But yeah, so yeah, like there's different things with that, how easily that little thing turns him into the big villain, but then how easily he said, I'm not going to invent you, and like Freddy Krueger, when you say you're not scared of him, he disappears like that, which is kind of easy. But like, does that like it's weird to think of, because he doesn't invent the bowler hat, but the like being a time travel nerd is like, how does that change the future? Like, does that did not making the bowler hat change all the people at the house now that he's not going to ruin that kid's life? Like, what happened? It's like the swatting the fly causes all this stuff. I want to thank Star Trek City on the Edge of Forever for forever making me wonder what little event he did. Does it make this happy future he wants still? But now he knows. Like, yeah. And I also love the little moment. Like, it's almost kind of like Big Fish in a way, reversed or something, where he starts realizing at the science fair who all these people will become in his life when he sees them in different ways. Which I
love Big Fish. Big Fish is like my favorite Tim Burton movie, so that makes sense.
Where Big Fish, when he sees what the actual people from these fabricated things are, and it kind of reminded me, which Big Fish was what, 2001, 2003. So it was 4 years. It would have been when they were making this, because I think it took them 4 years. But so yeah, that's maybe it was on the brain then, but that I definitely like that moment of like, oh, it's that, and things start going, like it makes you want to go back through the movie and I not question that it's holding up, but knowing that it's that and this, kind of how fun it could be. So yeah, it's got rewatch value out the
It does. And like all of like the characters, like there's such a huge cast, but every family member has a memorable moment that
Mhm.
immediately makes you really endeared to them.
Yeah, I like how the mom like has this desire towards Lewis just to keep him around. It's like because it's that personality, that persona, and like she's like, oh, you know that, but keep it like right away. It's because like, well,
Mhm.
that's your husband, but that's not weird.
Do you not remember what he looked like when he was a kid?
Right, true. And they have the whole thing
He had a
with
huge
the
like fruit basket though, so you know.
right. And then yeah, the whole Lewis Cornelius thing's kind of interesting, but no, it's all good. And yeah, the because he gets adopted by the woman, the patches, the nicotine patch joke with the coffee patches. I just remembered that because we were going through that. But yeah, no, it's really fun. It has a segment of this movie where it's just like, let's have some crazy ass fun for like
Mhm.
just like going through the house, getting to play. Like and it's not done in like that kids movie fashion of like being like, damn, guess I as an adult wasn't the target audience for this Disney children's movie, but it works. It works. It could get like it's a dangerous territory to go there, but it works. Like because I'm like, this is having fun. I like these characters. I want to see
Yeah,
these are the people I would want to see more of in other movies, and they're giving me plenty with them in this movie.
definitely. And then like the stakes really kind of propel those moments because the whole while you're like, oh, you like there's something going on. He's being hidden for some reason, and you know, like you can tell that something is being avoided. And
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's something being avoided there helps keep you from trying to figure out who the bowler hat guy is. Because the first time I saw this movie, I don't think I ever was like, well, who is this? Well, like, I think what's the dude's beef, not who is this guy. And I think it's
yeah,
because they're keeping you distracted on where's the dad at this house and why are they hiding Lewis? And you never think of the bowler hat guy when it's almost super obvious, but they do
hmm
a good job of distract. Like when you watch the second time, you're like, why wasn't my brain here? Why wasn't my brain
yeah,
here? It's so obvious. Even the scene where he sees himself, like,
yeah.
which in Back to the Future is a big no-no, but here, Mr. Robinson's, it's okay.
You can hang out with yourself. That's fine.
You can hang out with yourself. Because he has the bowler hat has the conversation, and then he has the conversation with his older self. And I really like the way the older self conversation plays, where the the Cornelius older self is helpful but restrained
hmm
and guiding, and fatherly like, but like not giving away too much, even though he's asking all the questions stuff. He's just like, it's like, let's go back to that science fair. But it's I have a big soft spot for this movie.
Yes,
And
it's so good. I revisit it. It's my like feel good movie when I'm, you know, like going through things or things are getting really rough. I'll put this on. It'll revitalize me for
you're
sure.
having a time. And features songs from Rufus
Mhm.
Wainwright, All American Rejects, They Might Be Giants, and Rob Thomas, whose song in here I guess charted in Canada.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's it. Do you got any more on Meet the Robinson?
I'm trying to think. I think
If
we
you
talked
got
about the robots. We talked about like it was really like ahead of its time. Um I really, I mean, going back to the whole like Walt Disney and the quote, keep moving forward, you know, like I really love that in the movie when something breaks or a mistake is made, they kind of like take that moment to learn from it and stuff. And it's
right.
not like always striving to be perfect and whatnot, and kind of giving, you know, Lewis space to kind of like understand, you know, that when stuff goes wrong, like there's a lesson there or there is like something to get out from it. So I really like that for sure.
Right. And it goes to the crux of the protagonist and antagonist, because the antagonist is stuck on the past. That's what's fueled him. That's all he has driving him is that past incident. And then when Lewis goes back to meet his mother, he's like, whoa, this isn't moving forward. This is me stuck in the past. So yeah, it's definitely, and in life, yes, move forward. Forward never stops. No matter how much people want it to, forward always moves forward. We are here now because of forward things. Like it doesn't like, and when times have pushed back or tried to move back, bad things have tended to happen. And not that the past isn't important. No one doesn't say not to value the past, but you gotta move forward and learn from the past. That's, I guess, let me get off my soapbox here. Okay. But no, I think my listeners would know I feel that way. If you don't, then sorry. Yeah, you can hit unsubscribe. It's fine. I don't make money doing this, so it's okay. All right.
But yeah, and I think it's a movie that is, I think it'll like it's very underrated because it holds up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Thematically, and it's something I'm excited to show like my kids someday when I have kids, and like and something that like has so much potential to be expanded on or redone, especially now like we were talking about early on Disney Plus. And there's even ways to kind of like make some of those twists even more ambiguous, because like for me, like I've with the found family that I've had, and we kind of talked about this, and like when you're asking me about who my guests on the podcast, I'm like, I'm going to bring in like just so many different faces, like that you wouldn't think are connected in various ways, where I'm like, I would love to see Meet the Robinsons with a mixed family to like further throw off like you guessing who the dad is, or like them realizing that it's Cornelius is Lewis and stuff. So I think there's a lot that could be done with that.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, it's a fantastic movie. I've enjoyed. Holds up with the kids. I guess my daughter hadn't seen it, so I showed it to her yesterday when I watched it, and she wanted to watch it again today. I was like, no. I'm like, Dad's recording an episode today. We'll watch it again. We'll watch it a billion times probably, but it's one I won't mind having. Yeah. You'll find there are ones that you'll find the truth and the ones that holds up. Like I still, oddly enough, not sick of Frozen. Oddly enough, it held up.
I mean, like there's, like it's funny. My husband and I were like, we're gonna try to curate for our kids, like when they're like small and stuff. Like for example, we will not introduce them to Peppa Pig or the Minions. We're afraid of that to happen. Like, I don't know. Like we've heard things, we've seen things, and we're just like, I don't know how I feel about this. But when there's things like Meet the Robinsons right now, like bizarrely, my husband and I got really into this show called Bluey on Disney Plus. I don't know if you've watched it. Have you watched Bluey?
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay. It is like it's in the wheelhouse of Paddington and Taika Waititi.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay. All right.
For a kid's show. And it's really good. You will not be bored.
Okay.
Because I think I'd seen like Duncan Jones tweet about it, and a few other people that like we have friends who are parents who are like, oh, Bluey's great. And my husband and I love animation, so we just decided to put it on to have something to watch before bed. And it has this sort of like sentimentalities of as I mentioned, I think it even is kind of like in the same wheelhouse as Meet Robinsons, not in any like sci-fi time travel way, but like in the family relationships of kind of like how you go through life and different things that happen, and how like not the words just rambling next. I'm a really big fan of this show. I actually got a stuffed animal of it. So
nice.
That's my recommendation of what I'm watching right now.
Okay, well, yeah. Awesome. I have to check that out. I did not know that existed. I will warn you that your children will watch what they watch, and you will fight it, and especially when it comes to YouTubers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But Daddy, you're on YouTube. I'm not making that stuff. I don't know. So yeah, gotcha. So I guess we can move on to what else? Was that your what else? Was the blue? Or do you have anything else for what else? Or
trying to think. I'm sorry. What was
This is what else. This is just
what am I
whatever.
watching and
What
am
you're
I-
watching, whatever,
Yes.
anything, something.
I mean that's on brand for Disney. So yes, that
Okay.
would be what I'm watching.
Okay, I will re-edit that so it sounds it'll sound like it's in the segment. So we'll do that. My what else is I went and saw, and it'll look super late for when this posts, but whatever, I don't care. I saw Free Guy, the Ryan Reynolds. Have you seen that one yet?
Yeah, I saw it opening weekend. That was
Gotcha.
very interesting.
I had stuff going on. I liked it. I thought it was better than I wasn't expecting it to be like bad, but I actually rather enjoyed it more than I thought I would.
I'm not a gamer, and it didn't lose me, which was
yeah. I thought it was I didn't lose me, and then just had people I like. Jodie Comer needs to be in like all things because I really love Killing Eve, and it's just the difference in character she plays, and then going back to that is always, it's like, wow, it's so funny. But yeah, I had some good laughs, had some genuine heartfelt moments. My kids thought it was awesome. They enjoyed it. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was more of a recommend.
There were so many gaming YouTubers in there, and I was like, I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. I saw one of my colleagues in there, Terry.
Oh, okay.
With IGN. I was like, oh my God, it's Terry.
That's awesome.
I know her.
Yeah, my kids knew all the YouTubers. They're like, because my wife was like, were those like real? They're like, oh yeah, that was so and so, and this one and that one. I was like, okay. So it kept it speak on a level where like I won't know if a reference happens, but it does type thing. So that's pretty good. That's well done there, Free Guy people, Freetopia, or whatever they did. So okay, well that's it for this episode. Sabina, always one of my faves, and thanks for stopping back in. Let everyone know where they can keep up with you just at this time.
I am on Twitter at Sabina has no R, and on Instagram at that lady Graves. I write on at comingsoon.net. I'll talk about like genres, Disney movies a lot, because that is I love horror, but I love Disney. Both are my jam, and I will be in all the places talking about these things whenever I can. But obviously we're now coming into the Halloween season, so I will be writing about Halloween haunts at the theme parks, which is one of my favorite times of the year. And I have my podcast, Halloween Never Dies. We will be releasing more episodes soon, hopefully. And we're excited for Halloween Kills. And yes, that is where I am. It's what I do, I think.
And we all love you for it. That's all good. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Brandon4KUHD, written work at WhySoBlue.com. There's more from the Brandon Peters Show this week. Until then, always remember to keep the positivity in your online film chatter.
Thank you for listening. The Brandon Peters Show is a Creative Zombie Studios production. Produced by Brad Shoemaker and Brandon Peters. Written and edited by Brandon Peters. Announcer vocals by Jessica Alsman. Theme song by Metavari. Web design and show art by Brad Shoemaker with Brandon Peters. All music and clips featured in the episode are property of their respective studios, and no infringement is intended. Additional information on this and other episodes at BrandonPetersShow.com. For any inquiries, press opportunities, or sponsorship, contact mail at BrandonPetersShow.com. The show is available on Apple Music, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts are found.